Hi, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Flock Talk. I'm Robin Sullivan of the Leather Elves. I hope nobody was scared by the Bugo announcement. So, got to do the reminders, got to do the introductions and things. So, remember to like the Leather Elves on Facebook so you get notifications. You can check the page to catch surprise sales and any pop up events that we might have. Follow us, follow the Leather Elves on Instagram. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So you saw the BOGO announcement before we started up. And the way that works, there's no code. It's easy breezy. You just go on the Leather Elves site at theleatherelves.equid.com and pick out your toys, what you want. And you order one, we send you two. You order two, we send you four. So it's making me do math, and you guys know how that goes, those of you that listen all the time. But it's a great sale, and hopefully some of you will take advantage of it. All right, so tonight's a little different. I usually have a guest, but I wanted to talk to you guys about sensory enrichment. And the title of tonight's What's the Sense? And sometimes people are, oh, well, why should I do that? Why do I bother? And the important thing to remember is our birds, when they're in human care, we limit a lot of the sensory experiences that they might have if they were in the wild. And you really want to think about all the different senses. I've talked about this for years, and I feel very, very strongly about it. Even as a toy manufacturer, I still feel like there are so many things you guys can do to really excite those senses in your birds, and to really give them something more than just the toy to focus on. And we know, their day, a lot of us go to work, a lot of us go out, and that time that's spent alone, you really need to get them involved with things so that it's not just downtime. I don't know about you guys, but I get in trouble when I have downtime. So it's rare, but I do get in trouble when I have downtime. So we don't want our birds to have that downtime. We want them to have things to keep them engaged throughout the day. And whether you're home or not, you still need to have those things to keep them engaged. Another thing with sensory enrichment, it's great for special needs birds. I want to say hi to you guys, everybody. It's scrolling up the side there. And thank you so much for listening on a regular basis on Friday nights. But so special needs birds, we've got birds out there that are, hearing impaired, that are visually impaired. And we really need to think of ways to keep them stimulated too. And I get a lot of messages from people that, I don't know what to do with my birds. They're special needs. They need extra help. And, especially like the visually impaired ones, there's nothing I can do for this bird. There's so much you can do for that bird. And I was on Facebook the other day, and a comment came up about a gentleman who does have a visually impaired bird. And we're going to show you later on a clip from him, or a couple of clips from him, and how we've been able to help with that and how he's helped his bird with that. He's done an amazing job. So I want you guys to think for a minute about the scope. Well, let me stop for 1 second. Because it's just me tonight, I really need you guys to participate. I need you to throw out ideas, to throw out things for each other, because the community that we've built here on Friday Night Flock Talk really makes me happy. And I know that you all have so much to offer. And so if you can share that with each other, that would be really great. Plus, I could take a sip of my water and take a breath. But as far as sensory enrichment's concerned, I want you to think about our birds in the wild. Okay, so those birds that are flying around out there, and all the varieties of sensory input that they have on a daily, moment by moment basis. It's, there's just so much going on, and none of it is controlled. It's all kind of free flowing, and they have to adapt to it. They have to deal with it. They have to interact and engage. There's so much going on. And so Then we take them. We don't take them. We have them in our homes. Okay. Very few people still have wild caught birds. So I know there are some people out there that do, but very few do. So the birds you guys have in your homes are mostly captive bred. And with a captive bred bird, like I said in the beginning, we've limited a lot of that input, a lot of that sensory input. So, and it's not a bad thing because we can fill in that blank. We can take care of that. Yes, there are things that we can't replicate exactly, but we can take care and fill in some of the holes. So, I want you guys to think about all the different kinds of stimulus or stimuli that that our parrots have when they're in the wild. And when you think about those different things, um, see how many of those you can expand upon, you can bring into your home and have for your birds in their cages at home. So there's a really big difference, and we want our birds to be as close to nature as we possibly can. So hopefully some of the ideas we come up with tonight will help you achieve that. So the first one, the first sense that I want to talk about is auditory. And we've got these loud animals living in our homes, and I bet sometimes we seem loud to them, but auditory is the amount of communication that our birds experience in the wild, and the amount of input uh, is just phenomenal. And they are a prey species, so every little sound gets listened to, every little movement is noticed, and so auditory is really important. And a very easy way to fulfill some of that is with music. And I know I've told you guys this before. Any kind of music is great. And people are like, "Oh, well, our birds like this kind of music, our birds like that kind of music." As long as it's not country, it's fine. Yeah, country is really detrimental to a parrot's well-being. No? All right. Okay. Well, if you're a country music fan, then go for it, and hopefully your birds like it too. I've said that a million times, and I just, it's my goal is to stop all the country music playing for parrots everywhere. It's true, Amber. I'm just saying. So anyway, music is a great way. Thank you, Diane. Maybe it's us East Coasters, um, but I think it's really, finding that, and you can tell, finding out which kind of music they do like, and what are you trying to accomplish with that? Are you trying to accomplish a calming effect? Are you trying to accomplish, them dancing and interacting with you? What's the goal? Okay. So different kinds of music. It doesn't have to be just one. Oh, my bird will only listen to classical. Right, Karen Anderson? It doesn't have to be just one type. And it doesn't have to be, one specific at a certain volume. You can play with the volume that you've got your music on and see what it does to the way your birds respond. It's more of that interaction. If it's really quiet, do they become quiet? Do they become quiet and listen? If you turn it way up, do they get louder? Does it encourage more noise? So you really want to, play with that, see how it goes. And it's it's almost it's an observation project for you guys. Play different kinds of music, play it at different volumes. See what happens when you turn it off. If you're playing away and they're bebop and you turn it off, what happens? Create a game out of it. It's that interactive piece that can also classical is the gold standard. I knew, Karen, you're typing too slow. Um, I knew you would have a comment about that. Children's songs, Ray. We've talked about that before. I think children's songs, and then the next thing after music I have here is TV. Um, and a lot of times I hear from people that their birds really like cartoons. So now you've got a visual stimulus and auditory. So you're combining two different forms, two different senses. And I think my opinion on the children's songs is that high pitch, that higher range is intriguing to them. That's just my opinion. But for you guys, do some observation. You know, spend some time playing different kinds of music, listening to things, and see what they do like. Um, well, where I need to see that video, Eva. You could be viral. Let's put that up on Facebook so we can all see it. Um, yeah, Wendy, cartoons and kid movies. I find that so frequently. That's what people say. But the other thing, so another piece of auditory that I think we don't think of because we think about, so auditory enrichment is TV or music. It's made, in other by other places, other people. What about repetition? What about um, working with your birds on chatting, on mimicking sounds? It can be a game that you play with them. It again will engage you with that bird, enhance, their there you go. All right. The YouTube video. Tico and the Man on YouTube. A double yellowhead who sings along with his dad playing guitar. Thank you for sharing that, Diane. I appreciate it. Um, and you guys can check that out. Not now, but you can check it out. But really do some back and forth with your birds. We've talked a lot about screaming and ways to kind of keep the screaming down to a bare minimum. Yeah, I want dancing, Frank. Not you though. Your birds. So if we can see, you can see what if it helps with the screaming. So maybe you replace the screaming by doing some auditory enrichment. And there, I can say pretty confidently that about 9 times out of 10, enhanced enrichment will improve behavior. I went out on a limb. I said it because I'm an enrichment junkie. But I think that it really can make a difference if you're providing more enrichment. And a bird that's not bored, a bird that's not sitting doing nothing, has less of a chance of having behavioral issues. So some repetition or some callbacks. That's auditory enrichment as well. You can make it you can make a sound from another room. You can have just a tone that you play and see what your bird does with that. So it's definitely different types of sounds. Whether it's you don't want the bird to start mimicking the fire alarm. I've known lots of birds that have done that, or the phone. I have a friend who was a member of Long Island Parrot Society, and her bird had a whole phone conversation. Used to have whole phone conversations. Peekaboo, Terry, that's a great idea, and so that's interactive. It's visual and it's auditory. Jody whispers, and Jody, that's always been. I do that with people too. But it definitely does help. Yeah, Vicky, that microwave sound. You keep running out to the kitchen to see if your coffee's done and it's your bird. Yeah, it's rough. Um, and mimicry. So mimicry is a great form of enrichment. You can give them things to mimic. You can, have a sound that plays, at a certain interval. See if you can get them to mimic that. It's kind of fun. Um, so Phoenix screams her name and has taught her son Scarlett to do it too. They're super smart, Amber. We got to sometimes question who's smarter, them or us. And I usually end up going with them. So they think it will make me open their door. Yeah, see, Vicky, they're like, oh, the microwave. If you open the door in the microwave, you'll open the door in our cage too. And it's interesting that the things that they put together with the auditory enrichment that you do. So auditory enrichment is a great way to enrich your bird's life just a little bit different. And 9 times out of 10, these things are free. You don't have to go out and buy the fancy, DVD that makes noises or sounds. Everything is online now. When I first started doing this and I did my How to Get Your Bird Back DVD, we had downloads of all the calls, all the different bird calls. You can find them all online. There's no need, and they're mostly for free. There's really no need to have to go out and buy something to make a specific sound. So think about that. And, all these suggestions, you guys, thank you so much that you've got from YouTube. And, again, YouTube, you can find almost anything. So think about the different kinds of auditory things you can do with your bird and maybe add that into the repertoire. It doesn't have to be every single day. It can be, maybe you decide that Wednesdays are auditory enrichment day. Just make it, something a little bit different. And the auditory piece is another thing that doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't need to have your whole attention. Excuse me. See you later. So another macaw saying, "See." So Eva, are they trying to tell you something? I don't know. No, I'm sure they're not. But so when you do that, you can do it while you're walking around, while you're cleaning your house, while you're cleaning cages. Cleaning cages and auditory enrichment go together super well. It's just you have to think about it a little bit, and you're probably doing a lot of it anyway, but just maybe add something new in, add in a new twist to it, and it'll be something that, it gets you interacting, it gets your bird interacting, and it keeps them engaged. So, auditory, simple, free, it's one of my favorites because we we take it for granted, I think. We don't think about, "Oh, I'm doing auditory enrichment right now." And which is kinda cool that it just happens naturally because a lot of times there are different forms of enrichment that do happen naturally. But make a little bit of an effort to add auditory into your repertoire, and then it's just another little sense that you've now stimulated. Because out in the wild, all those other animals making calls, all their flock mates calling, just the noise of the wind. I can tell you, over and over again, it's not gonna no, Nick, I'm sorry. That tape over and over again is not going to teach your bird to talk. It's going to teach your bird to make that sound over and over and over again, which I don't know about you, but that's a little annoying. Yeah, there are things that our birds learn that we wish they never did. It's that there's an old saying about your vocabulary should seem you should be a person that has a parrot, or it's like don't say anything that you wouldn't want your parrot to repeat because we do know they are the greatest mimics on the planet. So no, Nick, don't run out and buy that tape. It's not worth it. Or don't download it because Nick would download it. He wouldn't go out and buy it. So yeah, don't do that. So the next form of enrichment I want to talk about is tactile. So I know you guys are like, oh, tactile. We got that. Who has tapes? Well, Nick, I thought we were having like Throwback Friday. I don't know. No, that doesn't work, does it? So I want to talk about tactile enrichment. And I know you guys are all going, oh, I got this. I got tactile stuff. I got toys. I'm good. Okay, you're good with the destructible piece. You're good with, that we all the pictures behind me of these guys, gnawing on things and chewing things up. We've got that covered. So that's not what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about it, but I want to talk about some other forms of tactile enrichment. And I don't know if how many of you guys saw Nancy Wilson when she was on as a guest with me. We talked about finches and we talked about her outdoor aviary. And Nancy posted a great video the other day that she shared with me of one of her birds playing with a fountain that she installed in the aviary. Nick, do we have that clip? How cute is that? Surfing away and playing with the fountain, and very little effort being put in. You don't have to be there right there when this is all going on. But this bird is vocalizing, is bathing, and I know I've had conversations with some of you about how your birds, shrink, go take a shower. Or I used to talk about my kayik that acted like I had battery acid in the squirt bottle when it would be, shower time. And it was, the most horrible thing on the planet. But give him a water bowl, and he was all about it. So it really depends. But offering some water play is really a great way to get them, and it's not okay, it's shower time. It's okay. So for any of you that have had little children, um, if you can trick them into doing things, It always works better. You make it into a game and you turn it into, maybe let's see if you'll go through this. And then you reinforce them for playing with that fountain. You reinforce them for, going through a spray of water. Um, so the Melissa says she'd get one of those cat fountains. But they're quiet and Zorro likes the noise. Okay, so Melissa, right there is a great comment. I want you guys to all read that comment from Melissa because Zorro likes the noise. So Zorro is that's auditory stimulation for Zorro. And it may be just a repetitive, like a humming noise or that mechanical noise, but Zorro likes that. So when Melissa's creating auditory enrichment, she's going to create stuff with that little background noise. Terry, kitty fountains are great. I love them. I know that I believe that Hagen has a fountain in their Cat It line that looks like a little flower and it kind of bubbles over, and the water's not deep, so it's not like your bird's going to get in there and have to swim because they're not great swimmers. But you can do things, like the fountain that Nancy had, a kitty fountain, like Terry suggested. The sink. I mean, Zorro likes to get misted and Zorro likes to drink from the faucet. So there are definitely, things that you can do. And again, the fountains, okay, so it's an initial outlay of a little bit of money, but you can do it for cheap money with, a little with a mister. You can do it and make it a game, make it when the bird hops into when you're misting, the bird hops into that, you reinforce that. And it doesn't have to be so we could get into a big discussion about showering with your bird. I personally like my parts way too much to take a bird in the shower with me. I know a lot of you do it and you're very, very brave. But so you can do that. But if you choose not to do that, oh, Vicky, that's a great idea. Amazon has a toy sink that has a working faucet. I love it. And Vicky, if you happen to know the link for that and wanted to post it in the comments, that would be great. So thank you. So water play is wonderful with our birds, and it takes that whole process piece out of. Of course, you do, Amber. It takes that whole process piece out of showering. So it's not, for those birds that immediately turn into giant munching things. Um, when you say it's shower time, let's turn it into a game instead. Let's make it something that's enjoyable. The other thing you can do as far as showering is concerned is a motion sensitive shower. We did these years ago for zoos, for animals in zoos, so that they could on demand showers. And what it takes is a motion sensor, and you install that and you hook it up to a hose or a mister, and then the bird can on demand the shower when they want to. It's a little bit more of a process and it involves like a trip to Home Depot to get the pieces and the parts, but definitely something you can put in an outdoor aviary. You just have to be careful that you put a timer on it. It was we did it with some elephants, and the elephants ended up with foot issues because they were just standing there, turning on the water and then just standing in the puddles. So it wasn't a good thing. So you want to make sure that you kind of have some control over the time that that's on. Plus your water bills would be through the roof, and we don't want that either. We're trying to figure out, a little bit less expensive way to do things. So, so don't let them have free reign because they'll just be, having their friends over and taking showers. It won't be good. So, but you can do a self-directed shower. It gives them control as well. That's one of the things that's kind of cool about a motion sensor for showers, because then the birds will learn. It's kind of like training. If the bird enjoys the shower and they step in front of this plate or the motion plate, and it causes it to shower, they're going to learn that, okay, if I do this, so that's the behavior, and then the consequence is it showers. So they will put those two together, and if they like the shower, then the shower will act as a reinforcer. So it gives them that control. It empowers them to handle that, for themselves, and it also eliminates, sometimes owners can become a little bit forceful. No, you really need a bath. We got to take that bath. So it will eliminate some of that. So it's just something to think about, and it's definitely doable and, like, easy. Not a big, huge project. It's not a whole weekend project. It's probably just one day. For me, it might be a couple days because I'm not super mechanically inclined, but it's definitely an option that you might want to try if you've got an outdoor aviary. The other thing you want to do, you might have to work on, is a little bit of training. Um, and train. Oh, so Melissa, you give Zorro gets the choice. And when he asks, she missed him. That's great. And Oh, there we go. Let's see some videos of, your birds taking showers. Um, the and not with you. Those of you that said you showered with your birds, not those videos. Just saying. So I was saying that you might have to train a little bit of, the tactile piece, because sometimes for our birds, they're very, very sensitive, and, um, if you've got, you're introducing a new tactile experience, you really want to be careful, that it doesn't become an aversive experience for them. So you want to work with them on different textures. Things like AstroTurf is a great, textural experience. Um, AstroTurf. You can do, if it's supervised, you can do fleece, so that you know that your bird's not ingesting, any of that fleecy material. You can do, pebbles, like big pebbles. That's a different tactile experience, and that you can pair that with the water play. Put some pebbles in a flat dish, and then put some water in there. So now you've got both of those going on. But you might have to work a little bit on the training, and making sure that this is not, what are you doing? I know you guys have all experienced it when you put something new in the cage, or, on a play stand, and the birds are immediately like, you have now put Godzilla in my cage, and you're trying to kill me. So we don't want that response. We want these things to be a positive response. So, just trying some different textures, different feelings. Because think about, and that goes for the beak and the feet. The feet are the forgotten part of the bird. You know, we ask for step up. We try to make our perches, all different sizes, so that, we avoid bumblefoot, but we forget about, them interacting with things with their feet. And so many times, our birds, we give them all these great things to hang on, we give them great perching, but we don't give them things to manipulate so much with their feet. And it's, the beak, we got to make sure the beak stays trim and stays down, but we've got to make sure that the same thing about the feet, that the nails stay at a manageable level. You know, I've had vets tell me that, if your bird's getting everything they should, they may never need to have their nails trimmed. I tend to disagree, but that's just my opinion. But you can keep it more manageable if you're offering different textures, for your birds to walk on. And the other thing is, I mentioned AstroTurf. If you can put, AstroTurf down on a section of your cage and have them walking on it, what a great tactile experience with their feet. I think we get kind of caught up in, oh, he manipulated it with his beak. Oh, so this is a success. Let's talk about whether they're manipulating with their feet or not. Maybe foot toys, things like that. Foot toys are fairly cheap. You can put together foot toys yourself. I know Melissa does a lot of, foot toys on her page. Melissa, if you want to share that page in the comments, that would be great. And maybe people can go there and get some ideas for foot toys. You do a really nice job with those. Um, So, is she gone? She might be gone. Jody says too that astroturf is good for foraging. It definitely is. I love using it. You just make sure you've got that it's not the really cheap stuff that you buy at the dollar store, because you just got to be careful that it's not something they're just going to pull apart. And a lot of times, using astroturf with your birds, until you know exactly what they're doing with it, you want to make sure that you're observing while they're playing, and that goes for anything new that you're offering. Um, so there's a lot of different tactile experiences that I think we forget about, because we get really caught up in the toy. So thank you, Melissa, for sharing that. We get caught up in the toy and we forget about the simple stuff. Um, Temperatures. So that's something we don't talk about a lot. Um, Ice, or something that's a little bit warm, not hot, because we don't want to burn them, but something that's a little bit warm, and see how they interact with that. Ice is great, for people who are living in places where it's not freezing cold and rainy and windy and horrible like it is right now. Um, you might want to try some ice with your birds. Freeze things in ice, freeze treats in ice, whether it's a strawberry or a piece of fruit. Freeze that in the ice, and then they have to wait. They either have to be patient and wait for it to melt. They are fun to watch them play with, absolutely. And I think that's I have a photo of an eagle. It's a fish eagle, and there's a piece of fish, or a full fish frozen in ice. And I always say it's a fine line between torture and enrichment. They've got to be patient, and you get that look from the birds. It's like, really, you're going to make me wait for this? No, you've got that beak on the front there. You can take care of it. So yeah, Karen's Greys are fascinated by ice, and it's just another tactile opportunity, and a simple one. Doesn't cost anything to make ice. And did you forget the recipe? Oh. Oh, very old joke. Um, okay, so ice is another great tactile experience that you can try with your birds, and it's just a little bit different. You can even it doesn't have to be a food item you can put in there. You could put, if your bird plays with the big acrylic um, links or pieces like that, raw pistachios in the shell in a cube, an ice cube, those are awesome. And it's it adds another dimension. It's something new for them to explore. That's not, ice is not super close. It's not super close, not close at all to any natural experience that they might have, but it adds a different dimension. So in adding to their sensory experience, we might have to add some things that are not that close to nature, but they're filling in the need for that sensory experience. I hope that makes sense for people. Because I usually talk about, let's relate it to nature, let's relate it to nature. But when you're trying to fill in that sensory void, you might need to offer some things that are a little bit different from what they'd experience out in the wild. So, all right. So tactile, it's just, there are other dimensions than the toy. I just want you guys to think about that and try to be creative, and please, if you come up with other ideas, we would love to hear them, and I would love to have them, on the page. Feel free to post video of your birds doing any of these things on the Leather Elves page, because it's always nice to share those things, because there's somebody out there that hasn't thought of it yet. You know, that's a lesson that I learned a long time ago. I used to, people would say to me, "Oh, I'm sure everyone does this," or, "I'm sure everybody's doing that." Well, they might not be, or there might be that one person that's following you on Facebook that hasn't thought of it. And so you're now offering more sense, helping them offer more sensory enrichment for their birds. So please, if you've got those videos, please post them. Either feel free to post them on the Leather Elves, or feel free, post them on your own page, so that, at least just get it out there. Social media is a wonderful way. There's so many pitfalls to social media, but it's also a wonderful way for us to expand what we're presenting to our birds. So the next sense that I want to talk about is olfactory. So your sense of smell, our bird sense of smell. And I have been talking about olfactory with parrots for a very long time. And it's there's been a lot of talk about, oh, well, our parrots don't, they don't smell things the same way we do. It's a waste of time. Well, over the years, there have been some studies done, and yes, they do have very different um, olfactory receptors than we do. So they process different chemicals, but they do have them. So I think it's something that you want to include when you're looking at sensory enrichment, sensory experiences, because it's something that our birds, definitely can interact with. Um, so one of the things, this is where when I started at the beginning talking about some special needs birds, and olfactory enrichment, scent enrichment is amazing for visually impaired birds. So, like I said, a couple weeks ago, I was on Facebook, and I don't know how many of you guys know um, this gentleman, but he has some gorgeous hyacinth macaws, and he does wonderful enrichment with them. And if you feel like it, you can follow him. And he's a great, he's got some really great examples of different things you can do. He's on, I have to look at my notes. He is on Instagram as Hi Guy in Austin, I think. Nick, if you can possibly check that for me and let me know, that would be awesome. But so we were talking, he and I were going back and forth, and he has a visually impaired bird. And he was saying that he was trying to figure out different enrichment and different things to do with that bird. And so I suggested scent trails. So he sent me these great videos. So this is Rosemary, and he is clipping the rosemary. So he's got fresh herbs planted, and he's going to clip the rosemary.
So I just put a few pieces of rosemary in there. So, and I'll rub the inside of this, and a branch coming up to it, so that he knows this is where his chop is.
So he's pairing the chop with that scent.
I'll leave some kind of wedged in here. So I'll take a little piece like this. I'll wedge it in here. And inside there. Step one. As he puts his beak and walks over to the food area, you'll be able to see the rosemary. Smell it from here. Bingo.
So it wasn't a huge leap he was asking this bird to take, but he was pairing that scent with the food offering. Because we had talked about scent trails, and you'll see there he's got some more video too. You'll see the way he utilizes this bird's olfactory sensation to move it about
Sometimes out here. So I'll start by taking and rubbing over. There's one branch that leads right up to his food bowl right here. So I'll make sure this is all covered in rosemary bits. So we've got to get really in there. He'll perch over here. So we'll rub it on here. Rub it towards here. He's already chewed off this piece, so he knows stepping from there to here is the where to go. So I'll take this, just kind of wrap it around so he knows not to go that way. He knows to come this way. This is where you can see I really get in there with the rosemary here.
So it's a great way.
And I'll leave this little bit right here. I'll cross over from this branch over here where I rubbed some more. This is all rubbed. You can see there's some rosemary in there. And this is his feed bowl. So let's see how he does with that.
So here we go. Here's the proof in the pudding. There you go. He's reinforced for following that scent trail. This to
Works.
me, it works. There we go. And we've worked on this, and it's not only birds that this works for. You can do this with reptiles. You can do it. Dogs are great at following scents. So this is something that can be used across species. But I just love that bird is able to navigate around the aviary because we offered, or because I suggested, and then he offered scent trails. um, are there any herbs you shouldn't give them? No, Cindy, pretty much anything that is safe for you is safe for them. Chilies work really well, scent wise, anything in the chili family. Um, the you can All the aromatics are really great for our birds. The basil is another one that I use a lot. It's got that strong scent. um, and anything that you might mix in with chop, any of those spices. And I noticed, Cindy, earlier that you posted, you were mixing some anti-inflammatories, herbs in, spices in with your chop. Those kind of things are great for scent trails. So it's really, and I actually, I I really wanted to double check before I said that to you guys, what was safe and what wasn't. I reached out to Dr. Crean, Jason Crean, and asked his opinion. He said, "Yep, it's all fine. No essential oil." Thank you, Karen. Yeah, we don't want to. The essential oils are not what we're talking about here. We're talking about taking a spice or taking the plant itself and using that for enrichment. Ginger, there you go. Jody's Stevie loves ginger. But yeah, Karen, essential oils are not something we want to use with our birds. A lot of times we talk about, we can't use aerosols. Well, we shouldn't use aerosols. We shouldn't use scented candles. And that's very, very true. But you can create natural aromatics, by just rubbing things on surfaces. And it's perfectly safe for them. The other thing, and I was thinking about doing an evening on planting. We've done planting for parrots. We've talked about that, but maybe we could all together, plant some herbs that we could definitely use for our birds. Oh, there you go. Ray found some herbs in her Publix. I love Publix. We don't have them up here, Ray. I need to just move to Florida. That's all there is to it. And 2.29 each for each herb. Cloves are fine. Kathy, cloves are great because they're super. I would just rub the clove on a perch or on a swing, or on a toy. Fresh, you can add that fresh ginger to chop, definitely, Karen. But all those things are, if they're not going in your chop, they probably can. If not, you're not comfortable doing that, you can definitely use them for this olfactory enrichment, because it's the sense that gets overlooked. And it's so important when we've got those visually impaired birds. We've got birds that aren't utilizing their whole aviary. It's a great way to get them to go to different places within a cage or within the aviary. And you're teaching them a new skill because they're learning to follow those scent trails. With a visually impaired bird, you can get them from point A to point B safely. With uh, I've had people come to me that have birds that, well, he only stays in this section of the cage or this section of the aviary, and I want him to use it all. I got him this great big beautiful cage and he's not using it. Unless the bird is impaired and is unable to navigate physically around a bigger cage. For some of our visually impaired birds, we want to keep them a little bit smaller, if they can't safely navigate. But if your bird can safely navigate around the cage, you can lead him or her to different places and to utilize more of that cage by offering different scents. You can do there we go. Thank you for adding that, Nick. You can do like a hide and seek, create like almost a scavenger hunt where you put different scents in different places. Maybe you scent something that you know they're going to chew up. Take a wooden disc, um, and put a little, rub some herb on it and put it over here. Put a wooden disc in another part. I know, I don't know if Amber's still listening, but I know Phoenix goes through the birch discs pretty quickly. You can lead Phoenix around by adding, different scents. Um, Different kinds of sprouts from Whole Foods. Oh yeah. Well, as long as just make sure that they don't have that they're not treated in any way, Cindy. You just want to, I know it's Whole Foods, but just make sure that they're not treated. And as far as sprouting is concerned, it does take time. But I think it's well worth it. And we could do, a whole evening on sprouting too. So, and maybe we will. Look at all these topics that are coming out of tonight. It's kind of exciting. But yeah, it's definitely another dimension, that, and you can take, so he just used it on perches. Okay. We saw him, leading the bird with the rosemary on the perch. You could lead a bird to a toy with a scent. So maybe you just rub it on a toy that, if you know that they like a particular scent and they followed a particular scent trail before, maybe it's cinnamon, maybe it's, ginger, whatever it may be. So you rub that on a new toy, and now the toy has a familiarity to it. The toy is not that scary Godzilla that's in the cage. It's, that smells like something that I'm familiar with. That smells like something that they've interacted with before. So it may be a way to get them to draw them to something like that, to a new item that you're introducing. So there's a lot that can be done with olfactory. And that's, I like to call creating the scavenger hunt foraging meets olfactory. So it's, you create I mean, right there, this is in actuality a scavenger hunt. He's looking for that, he's ending up at that food bowl. It's he's following that trail right to that, and look at that. It's like, bonus, here I am. And the other thing is you've added an activity to eating. So a lot of times we do here's the food bowl. It's in the same place every time. And with a visually impaired bird, you probably want to keep it in the same place. But here's the food bowl. Well, let's move it a little bit. Let's move that. Let's have something reinforcing at the end of that said trail that's a little bit different. And you're encouraging foraging. You're teaching your bird that, by going from here to there, I'm encountering different things. I'm finding new stuff. And again, it's encouraging activity. It's encouraging foraging, and it's encouraging, um, ex- I guess, exploration, learning about new things, experiencing new things when they might be a little bit hesitant. So it's got a lot of positives that go with it. And again, not something that costs a lot. I can almost guarantee, unless all of you eat out all the time, that you have different spices, different things that have scent to them in your house right now, that you could easily go and rub it on a perch, rub it on a toy, and create an enrichment experience, a sensory experience for your birds. Not going to cost you anything, and it definitely is a way to encourage new behavior. So, organic tea, Kathy, whatever you see what it's got in there. Pepper packets from the pizza delivery man. That's awesome, Nick. Yeah, if I had a good pizza delivery man here, I'd get some of those, but I don't. Um, I have to make my own pizza, but that means I have basil in the house. I have an arrow garden. If you guys have an arrow garden, it's amazing to grow fresh herbs in, and then you've got them on hand all the time. They're always fresh. You just go into your kitchen. That's where mine is, in my little pantry area. I go in there, I pick off some basil. I'm good to go. And you don't have to have, I can tell you. So a lot of you who don't know me don't know that I kill plants. I shouldn't be allowed to have them as a rule. I'm getting better now, but I probably shouldn't be allowed to have them, but not on purpose. But these herbs in the arrow garden, you put water in, you put the plants in and they grow. It's absolutely amazing. So, and I don't have to do anything. I just the light comes on to tell me when to put water in. So easy breezy. If you guys, so for Christmas, ask your friends for an arrow garden. Tell them that's what you need so that you can grow herbs, so you can present olfactory enrichment to your birds. I think it's fair. Just have them call me and I'll tell them that's what you need to get for Christmas. That and a new bird, right? No, who said that? So there are a lot of different sensory experiences we can provide, and most of them are cheap, if not free. Visual visual enrichment is something that you're doing anyway, I'm sure. But when you look at our birds and how beautiful they are and how colorful they are, you got to know that visual is important. So, your lighting, you should maintain the if you're using lighting for health for husbandry, but you can add different lighting. Light the room in a different way. Uh, open the windows at different times during the day. You can do color training. There's a lot that you can do with color recognition, and it's just another way to visually enhance your birds' lives. You can have them do color differentiation. You can reinforce that behavior. It's a simple trained behavior. Just know that our birds do see a different spectrum of colors than we do. So yeah, you have the LED cage light that should stay the same, Melissa. But other lighting in the rooms, you can change it. You can laser pointers are amazing for our birds to watch. Do not point the laser pointer at your bird. It's not safe. But if you move a laser pointer around in the bottom of the cage, or if your bird's out of the cage, see if your bird will follow a laser pointer. It's another great way to get them moving. If you have cats, you already know this trick. I'm just saying. But all these different ways to keep your bird stimulated. We used. How can you order the herb garden? What's it called? It's called an arrow garden. AERO garden. They have they have some that have lettuce, they have some that have herbs, they have some that are tomatoes. Don't order the tomatoes, Ray, because it's kind of silly, because it's only it's this big, the version I have, and once the tomato plants get too big, you've got to transplant them, and that's a big deal. But and Ray, if you need to find that, you can be in contact with me afterwards, and I can get that for you. Oh, look at that, Diane Hyde. You're awesome. Thank you very much. And Nick too. But on my list right here, Nick, I will say that Diane did beat you to it. Just saying. Diane, you should feel super proud of yourself. So yeah, arrowgarden.com, and it's well worth it. And they have all different sizes, different kinds. But yeah, the herb one, super easy to use. And so, Ray, are you admitting that you kill plants too? Because I know I do. It's okay if you do. It's all right. Okay, so bottom line tonight, let's expand our toolbox. We've got those great toys from the leather elves. No, from wherever. We've got those great toys. But let's see what else we can do. Let's see how we can address those different senses. And again, do it on the cheap. It's not sensory enrichment it's really, really great for your birds, and it's not going to cost you a fortune. So expand your toolbox with some of these sensory experiences. If you come up with some that we haven't talked about tonight, please share them, because I'm always looking for new things to suggest to people. And I know that, like I said, the community that we've built here, you guys are great at sharing ideas and things like that. So please share with one another. Mix and match those sensory experiences. Maybe you freeze some of those herbs that you grow in your arrow garden in ice, and now you've got tactile, you've got olfactory, and so you've hit two senses with one opportunity. So a lot going on, a lot of different things. Hopefully some of these ideas are new to you guys, and they will help enrich your birds' lives. So yeah, definitely try those. Try some of those. So I want to thank you guys for watching. And as always, if you missed this, if you miss it live, maybe not tonight, hopefully you were here. But if you miss it live, you can watch it. They are all available on the Leather Elves page and on YouTube. There will not be a live stream next week. We are working on some new things. We're actually working on starting a DIY club that you can become a member of, and if that's something you're interested, please give me some feedback. You guys know how to get in touch with me. Let me know if a DIY club is something that you guys would be interested in. I think I've come to realize in working with you guys over the last year or so, talking to you guys over the last year or so, that a lot of you do make a lot of your own toys, and we can come up with some new ideas for that. So like I said, there will not be a live stream next week, but don't be afraid, because put on your scary thinking hats. On October 28th, we will be doing terrifying trivia with Joanna and Mark Roth. It's we always have fun with those guys. So keep that in mind on the 28th. And also, come on, don't be scared of those rising bird toy prices. We've got that BOGO going on. Please take advantage of us. I mean, the sale. And don't forget that one lucky customer who has made a purchase during the BOGO from October 1st to October 31st, your charges will disappear. Yeah, we're going to refund them. So if you place an order between October 1st and October 31st, you will be entered. Not only will you get 2 for 1, but you will be entered in a drawing to be completely refunded for that purchase. So I've had fun tonight. I hope you guys have. Sensory enrichment's one of my favorite things to do. It makes me really think. But yay, Kathy's BOGO toys arrived today. Thank you, Kathy, for the order. I hope your birds like them. So I need you to post pictures. But play stand ideas for a crippled bird with crippled feet. We can work on that, Wendy. We absolutely can. All right, you guys have a wonderful week, or wonderful 2 weeks, and I will see you back here on the 28th with Mark and Joanna Roth for terrifying trivia. Have a great week, you guys. Bye-bye.